being spiritual, or saying that you're interested in spirituality, or reading a lot about relationships or healing material doesn't mean that you're necessarily ready for a real healthy relationship. That's what I'm talking about today. I've been seeing a lot of this for a long time, and I'm actually seeing a new dimension of it happening because there is so much knowledge and information out there about relationships and healing. So let's get into it today. Before we do that though, my name is Lindsay. I am the Real Love Alchemist, and I help my clients go from bad relationships to real love with the magic of subconscious work. So if you're interested in working with me, click on the link in the description to learn how to do that. So what am I talking about here? So I have seen a lot of this over the years where someone will claim to be spiritual, will claim to be interested in personal development, or even, like I said, more so nowadays, I see a lot of people who are doing a lot of reading and consuming information about healing and healthy relationships, but who are not actually walking the walk, talking the talk. And it can get very confusing because someone can look very good on paper, say all the right things, do all the right things in the beginning, but they cannot actually be who they are portraying themselves to be. This happens a lot with narcissists, but it can also happen with really any type of unhealthy partner, so to speak. And I'm not judging. I don't judge people who haven't done a lot of healing, but it does make it difficult to be in a relationship with them. I was actually talking to a client today who had a very similar situation. Somebody showed up, appeared to be very into healing, conscious relationships, sharing a lot of relationship material, content that is out there. It could be one of my videos or one of my posts, for example, but they were not able to walk the talk, so to speak. They had trouble putting those principles and those teachings into action. So what I want to share with you today are some, and in particular, 5 red flags to look out for to be able to spot this type of person, somebody who is pretending to be into personal development or spirituality, but who is not actually doing that. Someone who isn't really truly ready for a healthy relationship. That will include them doing their own healing work, their own personal development work. And by the way, let me know if you have experienced this. I know I have. I've experienced relationships where people seemed like they were very spiritual. And I should clarify this. By spiritual, I mean somebody who is on the path of self-development, self-discovery, self-healing, self-love, self-acceptance, someone who is truly walking that path, who is taking what they're consuming, taking in that content about spirituality, healing, and then actually doing something with it. Really, truly healing, not just saying they are, or not just using that path, that scene, as a way to posture, as a way to say, look who I am, I'm gonna make a great partner for you, but they really actually wouldn't. So I've got my notes here. The first red flag to watch out for is somebody who is always wanting to teach you something. So let me clarify this. Wanting to teach your partner something in a relationship, that's not inherently bad. But what I'm talking about here is a dynamic where this person is always wanting to take that position of the teacher, always wanting to share something that you might need to learn, or teach you a lesson about something, or point out something that you're not doing that you need to do differently. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is a person who wants to put themselves on a pedestal, who wants to put themselves above you as the teacher, as someone who knows better, as someone who's here to guide you. And that's never going to be a healthy relationship dynamic. Now, of course, when we're in a healthy relationship, we're going to be guiding each other. There's always something to learn from your partner, and there's always something that your partner can learn from you. But if you're finding yourself always in that student role and your partner is taking that position of a teacher, that's someone who's actually not that far along on the spiritual path. Because what you actually learn when you've done a lot of your own healing and a lot of your own spiritual work is you are not above and you are not below anyone. You are the same. And somebody who is very far along on their path will approach relationships like that. They will approach you as an equal. They don't really want to teach you anything unless you ask them to. Unless, you ask, hey, can you help me with this? Or maybe they just have something to share with you that you think would be interesting. They're not taking that posture of being above you. So keep that in mind. That's a dynamic I often see in narcissistic relationships. That person taking that teacher role, posing as the spiritual wise guru, the all-knowing person, and seeing you as beneath them. Never going to be a healthy, satisfying relationship. So another red flag for this type of dynamic, someone who is claiming to be all about spiritual healing and personal development, but who isn't actually really doing that, is feeling confused all the time. Now, this is because what happens in this type of dynamic is you start to lose your sense of self. So it gets very confusing when someone is saying a lot of the right things and is seeming to be this wise person who is on the healing path and the personal development path, but isn't actually doing it. It can feel very confusing. You can really feel like you're starting to lose who you are and your sense of self. And this is where we can talk about spiritual bypassing, where someone is maybe trying to use like psychological terminology or spiritual terminology to try to either like talk you out of your own feelings or to avoid accountability. You can feel like your world is turned upside down. So if you're starting to feel that, if you're feeling really confused, that's a sign that this is not the right person for you. So another sign here that someone is just really claiming to be this person who's into spirituality and personal development, but who isn't really doing it, is if they bring up the idea, the theory, the thought that you are their twin flame. Now, I'm not going to talk here today about whether twin flames are real or not, but when somebody is bringing that up as a way to convince you to stay in a dynamic that you're not actually happy with, that isn't really feeling good for you, then that's manipulation. That's emotional manipulation. That's using a spiritual term to keep you hooked into a dynamic that you're not actually happy in, or to excuse a behavior that they're doing that you are not happy with. It's kind of like a way to love bomb you. I mean, like that could be a really intense thing to hear. Like, is this person saying, you are my twin flame? That's kind of like saying you are the highest love, right? Now, again, I'm not talking about whether that's real or not, but it can feel very powerful. And somebody can very easily abuse that term and try to keep you in a relationship that isn't actually good for you. So in particular, when they're bringing up this twin flame situation, it's when you're having doubts about the relationship. That's when it becomes really dangerous and unhealthy, when they're using that term to try to keep you close. And I just realized that I haven't really talked about why I'm talking about this topic today. And it's because I see this happening so often. I see so many of us, like here in this community and on my Instagram channel, who want relationships with partners who are interested in spirituality and personal development and healing and growth. And we really deeply desire these kinds of partnerships. And it's easy to get fooled by somebody who looks like they're doing it on paper, who looks like they are interested in the same things that we are, but who isn't actually doing it. So this is why I'm making this video today. If this is you, this is who I'm speaking to here. So the fourth red flag to look out for someone like this who is claiming to be into personal development, but who isn't really, is somebody who, when you're with them, you feel like it's not okay to have challenging emotions. Like maybe they're all about manifesting or positivity, and you feel like you're not allowed to have a day where you feel sad. Like they're going to give you a hard time for that, or they're not going to be empathetic to that. That is not someone who is really on the personal development path. That is not someone who's going to make a good partner for you. Because what makes relationships happy, what they've shown in the relationship research, is that empathy creates long-lasting happiness in a relationship. Having a partner who doesn't judge you, for having the emotions that you do. Because we can't control our emotions. That isn't something that we have any control over. So what makes someone truly happy in a relationship is having a partner who understands that, who isn't going to say, oh, stop being so negative or stop being so sensitive. They're going to say, hey, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. And they're going to be present for you and accepting of your emotions. If your partner isn't doing that, if they are saying that they are spiritual and maybe they have their own meditation practice and they sit there and they pay attention to their feelings, but they judge yours, this is not a person who's ready for healthy love. So here's another more subtle sign to look out for, another red flag that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. But if you're with somebody who is only focused on learning how to manifest, that can actually not be a great partner to have. Because manifesting, I should just say this, manifesting is fine. Like I don't have any judgment of that. But if that's the only thing that you are focusing on, if you're only thinking about how you're going to, I'm not even sure what it is people do, but if you're only thinking about raising your vibration or thinking positive thoughts, that doesn't leave a lot of room for a genuine emotional connection. So healthy love, emotional availability, is based on emotional connection. And so if you're only trying to stay like up here in the positive, like sure, you can connect on that level for a little while on some positive emotions, but your relationship isn't going to get very deep because most of us have a huge well of emotions underneath the positive ones. You know, we're not always feeling great. We're not always happy. We're not always optimistic. We have our challenges. We have our tough days. And when we're there, we need somebody who can meet us there. They don't have to feel sad themselves, but somebody who's okay with coming out of that only optimism, that only positivity, and where they can just accept you. They can be present with you with whatever you're feeling. That's how you have a genuine, that's how you have a genuine happy relationship. That's how you have real, true connection. So that's why I warn people, if you're with someone who's like really hyper-focused on that manifestation, I've seen it, they just don't make good partners because they can't meet you in what you're going through in the moment. They're only focused on maintaining that quote-unquote high vibration. So let me know if this has happened to you. And if you're one of these people who is spiritual yourself and is on your path to healing, on your personal development path, and you feel like, you know, I really want someone who's going to meet me there, who is spiritual just like me. What I want to share is that you actually don't need to be with somebody who is super spiritual or who is into the same exact things that you are in order to get what you're looking for. Because this was me. This was me in the past. I was pretty spiritual and I was clearly on this personal development path. And in my head, I was like, I got to have somebody who's pretty much exactly like me, who is into the same kind of spiritual healing stuff that I am. And it took me a while to realize that actually wasn't what I was looking for, because I was dating those people and I wasn't happy. I was like, wait a minute, there must be something else that I'm looking for that goes deeper than this. And what I realized I was looking for were a couple things: emotional availability, the ability to make a commitment, integrity. What else was I looking for? Oh yeah, and desire for personal growth. So that can look like many different things. It doesn't have to look like a certain brand of spirituality or a certain brand of personal development. That's kind of what happened with me and my partner. He wasn't in the typical communities that I had been dating in the past, but he had those qualities that I was looking for. And now we're happy. So my point really is that you can find these qualities outside of the specific spiritual and personal development communities that you may have been used to looking in. Speaking of someone who is claiming to be spiritual, but who isn't actually doing so, in this video that I'm going to share with you, I talk about the spiritual narcissist, the wolf in sheep's clothing, my experience with someone like that, and how you can spot, in particular, the spiritual narcissist. So check it out here.